In the limitless reaches of the cosmos, where silence dominates and stars emerge only to perish alone, the James Webb Space Telescope has captured something profoundly bizarre, so startling in its unnatural form that it has left the worldwide scientific community balancing between wonder and unease. This isn't about the discovery of a distant galaxy or a dazzling nebula. This is something more, a moment of revelation. A visual so sharp, so perfectly composed that it threatens to unravel the very concepts we hold about the structure of the universe. For generations, we've launched technology into the void, pleading with the cosmos to unveil its mysteries. But this time, the cosmos didn't murmur. It didn't suggest. It thundered, delivering an image, a distinct and deliberate mark woven into the stars themselves. And now, astronomers aren't questioning what it is. They're questioning who might have placed it there. It started during a routine deep space observation. Webb was directed at an insignificant portion of the sky, a region labeled as empty by every earlier telescope from Hubble to Spitzer. The mission was clear: search for faint energy signatures that could indicate ancient galaxies or clouds of primordial gas obscured by cosmic dust. But once the initial data came in, something was wrong. A glow appeared, neither erratic like a stellar explosion, nor scattered like a galaxy, but sharp, as if drawn with purpose. The light spectrum revealed patterns that resisted categorization. No absorption where it should occur. No stray emissions. Just a pure, steady infrared glow. It was as though something or someone intended to be seen, but only by a machine that could peer through time itself. As Webb's raw data underwent further processing, the image refined into something no one had foreseen. Where there had been static, there was now form. Geometric order in a realm ruled by chaos. Symmetrical triangles. Perfectly spaced arcs. The configuration exhibited mathematical traits ratios, aligning with the golden spiral, junctions tracing Fibonacci paths. What was seen resembled less a celestial body and more a schematic. At first, scientists thought it was an error, an artifact, maybe a flaw in the software or interference from the telescope's protective systems. But test after test returned the same outcome. This was no malfunction. This was intention. Quiet discussions began to circle around a question no one dared say aloud. Had the telescope imaged something manufactured? Had it unknowingly captured the first evidence of cosmic construction? As the visuals discreetly circulated through elite research institutions, the reaction was unprecedented. Emergency meetings were held. Agencies imposed restrictions on access to telescope data. Some observatories received unannounced visits from unidentified officials requesting original files. No official announcements were made. The data never appeared in public archives. But it couldn't be hidden for long. Rumors leaked. Whispers echoed across obscure corners of the internet. Independent researchers began comparing the observed geometry to ancient earth monuments, pyramids, ziggurats, sacred alignments. Could this be cosmic pareidolia? Or had we glimpsed something we were never meant to witness? The fear wasn't just in the object. It was in what confirmation might mean. As the phenomenon was studied further, a new theory emerged, one that deepened the mystery. The structure wasn't stationary. It released faint, regular bursts of energy, consistent like a metronome, like a signal. And these pulses followed a sequence of prime numbers. Mathematicians analyzed the emissions. It wasn't noise. It carried structure data, a format with rules suggesting language. If it occurred naturally, it would be the first known case of spontaneous mathematical communication in the universe. If not, the implications were extraordinary. The structure wasn't merely visible. It was transmitting. To us, or perhaps something else that remained the unsettling question. As teams worked to decipher the message, one word began to echo. In hushed tones. Invitation. Despite efforts to contain the information, the secrecy eventually cracked. An anonymous post on an obscure forum began circulating an image, captioned simply, "It's not a star, it's a signal." Many dismissed it as digital art or science fiction. But those familiar with Webb's imaging techniques recognized the spectral overlays and color mapping. Independent validation followed, and then a digital wildfire ignited. Scientists, content creators, and commentators all seized on the possibility that this was real. The sudden surge of attention forced silence from the space agencies. Their unwillingness to comment only fed the growing suspicion that something momentous had occurred. Then came the breaking point. A prominent astronomer, during a late-night interview, confirmed it. Yes, the structure existed, and no, it wasn't a natural formation. With secrecy lifted, theoretical discussions flourished. A phrase repeatedly surfaced: the Einstein gap, the divide between classical physics and the strange unpredictability of quantum mechanics. The structure defied cosmic norms. It existed in a zone where mass was expected to be negligible, yet space around it warped, suggesting manipulation. Some proposed it wasn't just a structure, but an entity embedded in dimensions beyond our perception. What we saw was merely a two-dimensional projection of a higher dimensional shape. Others speculated it was a passageway, a tunnel shaped by gravitational lensing, precise enough to form a channel through spacetime. Suddenly, the telescope wasn't just an observer. It was a key, and what it had unlocked might lead to far more than knowledge, possibly a new paradigm of existence. From there, the discourse expanded into uncharted territory. Parallels were drawn across ancient cultures: Sumerians, the Maya. From Stonehenge to Göbekli Tepe, identical patterns appeared in sacred geometry and sky-oriented monuments. Symbols in remote cave paintings mirrored the configuration seen in the image. Coincidence? Or evidence that our ancestors witnessed the same thing long ago? Were they contacted by the same intelligence that the telescope had now revealed? Linguists and symbol experts began analyzing the prime sequence for parallels to old languages. Some believed they found grammar. Others saw instructions. While mainstream science scoffed, an increasing number of scholars released anonymous studies, too cautious to risk their reputations, but driven by a deeper, almost instinctual sense of recognition. Humanity now had to grapple not only with the image, but with what it meant. This discovery hadn't just disrupted science, it shook something fundamental in our perception of reality. For centuries, we've searched the heavens, imagining intelligent life to be distant or extinct. But what if they were never far? What if they were simply waiting for our tools to evolve, for our awareness to mature? Now that we'd finally seen deeply enough, finally built an instrument that could witness the unseen, what had we disturbed? For some, this reinforced spiritual belief, evidence of a higher order, of purpose within chaos. For others, it tore their understanding apart. Governments held closed-door meetings. Defense industries studied the structure for potential applications. Faith leaders issued careful, cryptic remarks of both hope and caution. No one had certainty. Only the telescope remained quietly orbiting, pointed toward the abyss that had, impossibly, returned its gaze. Just as the world began to quiet, as curiosity dimmed into silence, a final anomaly surfaced, one never meant to exist. Hidden within the telescope's last transmission, analysts detected a flicker, a beat, subtle but unmistakable like a pulse. It recurred with a consistency that ruled out randomness, too exact to be a mechanical glitch. Initially, analysts believed it was an echo from the telescope itself, but repeated checks confirmed the truth. The signal came from deep space directly, from the location of the structure. This wasn't leftover radiation, not the aftermath of a stellar event. It was a deliberate pattern. Some labeled it a digital fingerprint. Others, a beacon encoded in frequency. What disturbed scientists the most was its synchronization with early human broadcasts. It wasn't just emitting. It was responding. That dormant structure, cold and still in the void, had replied. Not with words, not with a voice, but with rhythm. And maybe, in the language of the stars, rhythm is all it takes to say, I see you too. What began as a leap forward in astronomical observation ended in a cosmic echo that changed everything we thought we understood. The telescope, built to look backward in time, may have done more than observe. It may have been observed. Its final image wasn't just a glimpse of ancient light. It was a reflection. And something out there had returned the stare. The pulse wasn't arbitrary. It was precise, calculated, patient, as though the cosmos had been watching, waiting, and had finally chosen to answer. We once believed we were merely observers peering into space, secure behind our technology. But what the telescope uncovered was not just distant beauty. It was evidence of intent. And with that, a terrifying possibility emerged. Were we the ones exploring, or have we all along been the ones under observation? Now, as silence stretches endlessly beyond that final beat, a single truth resonates through observatories, research stations, and restless minds. This was not the end of a search. It was the start of a dialogue. And the most chilling part? We still don't know who or what spoke first. Because in the vast silence of space, when something finally replies, it never does so by accident.